Let's just get to the fifth piece, which is partnerships.
Yeah, so the idea behind partnership is that my belief is that there's no such thing as a self-made millionaire or a successful person who acts in isolation. That success these days is a team sport. You know, the buzzword is obviously collaboration, and goals, dreams, ideas, growth stories, they become very plausible with the right partners involved. So if I said to you, look, I'm going to launch a brand new product and we're aiming to get 10,000 buyers in the first 3 months, you might say, well, I'm not sure if that sounds credible or plausible. And if I said to you, well, actually, we're partnering with Richard Branson and Virgin, and they're going to package it in with every flight, well, you say, well, why only 10,000? Right?
Yeah.
Because with the right partner, the goal didn't just become plausible, it actually became implausible that the number would be so low. So what most businesses are lacking is the right partnership. The right celebrity with a product brand, especially a consumer brand, changes everything. The right distribution partner changes everything. The right product partner. So you mentioned before about you having a product. In many ways, you've got these 10 million views or 40 million views, depending on the different media that you operate. And in many ways, your product is distribution, and there are other people who have products that would kill for that sort of different distribution. So that perhaps it's not about inventing your own product or creating your own product, but it's about having a product partnership in place. So Roger Federer is not someone who's sitting there inventing tennis rackets or watches or champagne. He's partnering with Moet, and he's partnering with Rolex, and
right.
He's partnering with Nike, and all of those sorts.
And all the big success stories, whether it's Trump or Branson or all these, they
breakthrough partnerships
all along the way,
all
right?
the way through. Yeah.
It might, in retrospect, it might tell the story, or in their biography that they did it all themselves, but it's not really.
Yeah,
the case.
And you might hear some of them saying that, but if they're a lot of them, if they're honest, they'll talk about breakthrough partnerships.
Okay, and so those are kind of the kind of the 5 Ps there. They're very interesting. Also, it's important in that order, right?
There's a syntax to it. So if you have a great pitch, a really honed and refined pitch, then the content for what you publish almost writes itself. If you're unclear about your pitch and you can't even verbalize what it is that you're up to in the world, then it's very difficult to write. If you've got great published content, another word for published content is intellectual property. And intellectual property is the DNA of products these days. So underneath underneath Google is an algorithm, and that's intellectual property. It's a form of intellectual property called codes or algorithms. And then if you go under other products, you have insights, and that insight is based upon some sort of intellectual property. So through the publishing process, through writing, you're actually developing ideas into intellectual property. You're noticing methods, you're noticing case studies, you're noticing stories, you're getting insights, and then you create great product. When you've got great product and you can demonstrate it and you sell it, then it makes sense to invest the time, energy, effort, and money into raising profile, because all of that stuff does, cost. So having a PR firm costs money, or hosting events costs money, or attending certain events costs money. None of that makes sense if you don't have a product. I know a guy who was a client of ours in the USA, who he had the experience of going on Oprah. And for the week after the show, millions of people were trying to get in touch, Googling his name and all this sort of stuff. Obviously Oprah moment, pretty incredible moment.
Yeah.
But then it instantly dried up. He described it like a rainstorm in the desert, where it poured and then it evaporated. And he said, I wish I just had had a product. If I had had any product, I would have been like, $100,000 moment.
Right.
He said if I had had a book, or if I had had anything to sell, the amount of spike of traffic on his website and all of those things,
right.
He could have done something.
So that's an instance of profile coming before everything else.
Yeah. So he
right.
had profile before product, and it didn't work. And then finally, those partnerships won't happen if you don't have some sort of a profile. So you get all the way to the board,
right.
And they want to do a deal with you, and then someone picks up their smartphone and Googles you, and there's no profile there. And then the conversation when you leave the room is, this person seems a bit new, a bit green, they've got no profile at this. Why don't we do some Googling around, some searching around, and see who else we could work with? So they start looking around for who does have the profile,
Right.
you know.
And there you go.
So and that's why there's a syntax to it.
Okay. And this is, when did you finish this book?
It's quite a while ago. It was 5 years. Key Person of Influence came out 5 years ago.
Okay. And did you, I mean, and as far as your company and, you know, the events that I went to and the kind of that mentor program you do after that, did that come on the back of that book, or was that something you were already thinking about doing?
It came around the same time. So I had this events company that we were bringing these top entrepreneurs from around the world into London, and I'd been cooking up this idea that technology leveraging personal brands was like going to be a big thing. And I just sort of, you know, I had this analogy that I would talk about called the singer and the microphone, that in order to be successful, you have to, number one, have a great singing voice, and number two, be leveraged through technology. But if you're no good at singing, then no amount of technology is going to help you. In fact, it'll damage you. You know, for me, if I started singing right now, people would immediately stop watching this video.
We could try it.
Right? we're not trying it.
No? Kylie Minogue?
Yeah.
No?
So, but if I have a beautiful singing voice, then the people who have the technology will come to me and figure out how to amplify it. So Alicia Keys, you know, she turns up in a little bar, let's say, and she starts playing and singing. Very, very quickly, someone's coming along and saying, we got to record this, we got to get it out, we got to distribute it. Now, what I discovered in 2009, 2010 is that everyone lost their mind about technology. Everyone was sitting there going, we need to get a Twitter handle, and we need to broadcast this message out to everyone, and we need to get this stuff out. And it was the equivalent, what I would see, of having a bad singing voice and trying to sing badly into a microphone, the internet. And I thought, you know, the actual real money is not going to go to people who know technology, because everyone's going to know technology. It's going to be entire technology companies in Eastern Europe and in India, and that's going to become the easy and the commoditized piece. The piece that will be decommoditized is what the hell are you talking about? And actually the ability to, you know, give birth to an idea and actually make something worth talking about. It's not going to be the actual broadcasting piece. So it's the voice. And that's where that idea came from 5 years ago. So the book came out. We put together a prototype group of 40 entrepreneurs to see if we could improve their ability to communicate their message, and if we could, you know, develop insights. And we also kind of became really fascinated in 2010 by the idea that the next big success stories were not going to be coders, 19-year-old coders in their basements, in their parents' garage.
Because that ship has sailed, or that's been done?
Yeah, because that was all about building the microphones.
Okay.
But if you know, the thing that we discovered very quickly on this journey is you take someone who's 43 years old, who's had 20 years working in hospitals and working with particular conditions and, you know, parameters and all this sort of stuff, and they have deep level insights about how to transform the system and what needs to happen, and, you know, all of these insights, but they don't know what to do with it, and they're too busy to do anything with it. So, you know, along our journey, we've just discovered so many, like, really powerful, cool business ideas and insights, working with the last people you would think would have them.